Well, hello friends and welcome to Kalos. Today I want to attempt a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Y using only the ice types. And some of you may be going, why do you want to do that? Kalos is traditionally a relatively easy region to Nuzlocke, and ice type Pokemon are traditionally difficult to Nuzlocke, so how will the two mash together? Now, Game Freak does not like the ice type we know, and the ice type is very difficult to run because of their common weaknesses, and the fact that we don't get a good spread of Pokemon because Game Freak likes to take them, group them together, and put them in a location that is typically late game. This game is no exception. 10 of our available Pokemon, which there is 13 total, are not available until after the 6th gym. 7 of them are available in the Frost Cavern, and 3 of them are available on Route 17. That leaves 3 other encounters that we can get for a total of technically 5 in this game. The first encounter that we can get our hands on is the revived Sail Fossil in Ambrit Town. That gives us an Amora that is quad weak to fighting type moves. We have to defeat the fighting type gym leader to get the next encounter, which is a gift Lapras on Route 12. After that, we can get to Cormain City to get the Good Rod and fish up a shoulder on Route 8, doing a little bit of backtracking. And then with the Waterstone, we can evolve it into a Cloyster, and that would be our 3 Pokemon until we got to the Frost Cavern. With the quad weakness to fighting, there is no way we would defeat Karina, not without an insane amount of luck, and I don't know what else. We would have to look into it. So we're going to need to do something a little bit better. Still make this a challenge, but make it one that we can actually win. Otherwise, this attempt is over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these Pokemon up that we can find in the Frost Cavern and on Route 17. We're going to spin a wheel, and we're going to get ourselves an encounter. The only one that I'm not adding to this list, and the one Pokemon that I really don't care about using, unfortunately, is Glaceon. I'll probably save it for another run, but as it sits right now in the Frost Cavern, we can get our hands on a Smoochum, a Piloswine, Vanillix, Cubchoo, Cryogonal, Bergmite. On Route 17, we can find a Sneasel, Delibird, and Snover. So we're going to hit this random number generator wheel, watch it spin, and see what number it lands on, which happens to be number 6. If we go back through our list, that gives us a Bergmite. With that Pokemon, we can run through the early part of the game, get the other 4 encounters that I talked about, or other 3 rather, giving us a total of 4, and then we can get 1 encounter in the Frost Cavern and 1 in or on Route 17, giving us a total of 6 encounters. That leaves 7 other encounters unused, and I think that would make for a good little video in Pokemon X that we will do at a much later date. We'll see if we can do this, we'll see if it's viable, we're not violating any Nuzlocke rules. Our starter is going to be a Bergmite, which we nickname Wedge. It has a hardy neutral nature. This is a Pokemon I've never used. It has like no speed, but an insane defense stat, so I'm excited to see what this Pokemon can do. Now in this game we have 4 different rivals, none of which we can of course nickname, so I asked all of my friends here to call me Algorithm because we are trying to defeat the Algorithm both in-game and in real life. Defeating myself in-game is very easy, I am the master of my own destiny, but the real-life Algorithm is much more difficult to defeat. It is a team effort, and I need your help. How can you help, you may ask? Well, it is very simple. You can like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Any and all interactions with the channel helps out a ton. Share this video, of course. There are a couple other ways that you can help out. Become a channel member. The perks of being a channel member is you get early access to the videos. If you're a journeyman tier or higher, you can permanently nickname a Pokemon. It's a neat little perk, and of course, none of this is mandatory. Your review helps out a ton. But anything else you feel willing to do, like leaving a comment that costs nothing, is greatly appreciated. And each and every week, you guys have been amazing helping me try to defeat the Algorithm. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. It's been an amazing ride, and it just keeps getting better. A couple of weeks ago, we did decide to start putting up like shorts here on YouTube, just to give you a little sneak peek of the upcoming episode. I hope you guys are enjoying those. I haven't seen any feedback because when I'm recording the voiceover of this, the electric type run of Sinnoh hasn't even gone live yet on the channel. So, I hope everybody's enjoying it. Thank you guys again for the continued support. Let's get on with the run. We were given a letter to give to our mom from Sexymore, and she asked, could it be a love letter? Mom, is there something you need to tell me? Because I don't know who my dad is, but, you know, it's Professor Sexymore, dark hair, Pokemon Master. It's all coming together. It's all coming together, Mom. I know what you did. Now, Viola is up first for the gym leaders, and her bug types really don't stand a chance against Wedge and our high defense. We don't have great special defense, so Bubble's doing a little bit of damage, but we can go for Icy Wind to lower speed, and then just start going for bites to chomp this thing down. Very easy. Couple of turns later, Vivillon comes out. It's going for Harden, so we're going to use the special type move Icy Wind, which is stab and super effective. Our special attack is not great, but we can do some serious damage, taking the Vivillon down to Potion, and then after a tackle, a couple more Icy Winds is going to take this thing down, and we never took that much damage to begin with, only getting dropped to about half health. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this, but I decided to do the Water Stone Cup super training to get my hands on a Water Stone. This didn't take that long, only about 20 attempts, and we got our hands on a Water Stone. On Route 8, you need Strength to get one, and I know there's one, I think, on like Route 12 that you need Surf to get to. I can't remember. But right after defeating the first gym, you can get your hands on some different evolutionary stones. I'm on Route 4 right now, got my hands on a Water Stone. Google said we could. I wanted to see if we actually could, and we can. We got some Stardust and some Hardstones in the process that we can sell for a little bit of coin, so that is very, very nice. Dad? Mom, you did. In Ambrit Town, we revive the Sail Fossil and get ourselves an Amora. We nickname it Pinnacled. It has a jolly plus speed and minus special attack nature. This is a great Pokemon and a welcome addition to the team. Grant's rock types shouldn't be that big of a challenge for our team. We are weak to rock, but we have Rock Smash. Amora decides to go for a Thunder Wave, and we knock it very low with a Rock Smash. This burns Grant's Hyper Potion, and then we hit it with another Rock Smash right back down to red health. Now it goes for Takedown, which does some recoil to itself, and with the held Rocky Helmet, it takes itself out. We stay paralyzed that turn, which hopefully is a good omen for the future. We get hit with a Stomp, and we stay paralyzed. There's those Paraflinch hacks. We get knocked to half. Tyrunt is taking some chip, and we do some damage with a Rock Smash. We just need to survive here, which we do, and break through paralysis, which we do, to defeat Grant and get the second gym badge. Leaving Geosinge Town, we're forced into a battle against Karina and her two Lucarios, and this battle is very scary because both of them have stab, super effective power-up punch. I do have Wedge here that has some very high defense, as we've done quite a bit of EV training. A Metal Sound is fine. We have super effective Rock Smash. Another Metal Sound is perfectly fine. We're doing some damage here. A Feint. I don't know what the hell she's doing as we take out the first Lucario. A couple of power-up punches would definitely just rock my world, and our run would end here, as we see it does a massive amount of damage. The Rocky Helmet chip is nice, but Lucario just starts going for Feint, so we take it low before it goes for one last Feint. I don't know what Karina was doing in this battle. We only got hit with one power-up punch, so we win. Dodging trainers is very, very important in runs like this. That trainer there has a Throw and a Hawlucha that can do some serious damage to my team. We don't stand up very well against fighting types. Wedge does have a very high defense, and we've done that on purpose so that we can withstand a couple of fighting type attacks, and I have a plan going forward, but I am pretty nervous as we go through Reflection Cave here. In the Tower of Mastery, we are challenged to a battle against our rival Serena. We chose the Chespin line, giving her Finnegan and probably our hardest challenge throughout the run as we battle her quite a few times. Now after a couple of disarming voices, we take out the Meowstic with a couple of bites, and this brings out her Absol. Her Absol does not have anything that it can do against us being a physical Pokemon, and we have such high defense, though Slash does a bit more than I thought it should. After a quick attack and some more chip from Rocky Helmet, we take out the Absol with a Rock Smash, and this is going to bring out her Braixen. I don't want to stay in. Its only fire type move is Fire Spin, which locks us in, and I'm not really looking at losing a Pokemon, so we're going to bring in Pinnacled. We take neutral damage from Fire Spin, and we can fire off Stab super effective. Ancient Powers, this is the first time you're seeing him in battle, and we do over half. A critical hit from Psybeam plus the Fire Spin almost takes this Pokemon out, but we make it through firing off another Ancient Power to win the battle. This battle against Karina was one I've been worried about the entire run, and I have a plan. We're going to go ahead and tank the Fake Out doing some chip with the Rocky Helmet. We're going to tank a Power Up Punch, and we should be able to knock out the Mienfoo from here with an Ice Fang. And we don't. Crap. This means she's going to go for a Hyper Potion, so we'll just fire off another Ice Fang. We get a lucky Freeze here, and then we get an unlucky Thaw Out, and then hit with Double Slap. Though the Double Slap doesn't do much, it does take out the Mienfoo with the help of the Rocky Helmet. But unfortunately, we're sitting at half health, and I wanted to be at more health than this. So as the Hawlucha comes out, it is going to outspeed us and hit a Flying Press to knock out Wedge. Pinnacled is going to come in, we're going to get outsped, we're going to get one shot, and that, unfortunately, is the end of attempt number 1. In attempt number 2, our Pokemon are a little bit different. Starting off with Pinnacled, it has a Naive plus Speed minus Special Defense nature. I'll take it. Has a little bit better IVs all the way around as well, making it a better Pokemon. Wedge has a Lonely plus Attack minus Defense nature, which is probably the best that we could get. And you'll also notice that we're holding the Citrus Berry this time because I have a little bit different of a plan. The plan for this go-around is a little bit different. You'll notice that my moveset is different as I have Protect and Curse. We go for Protect turn 1 so that we don't take chip from Fake Out, and then we decide to set up a Curse after a Power-Up Punch does a little bit of damage. The Curse isn't for the attack buff, though it does help. It's to trick the AI later with the defense buff. After we eat our Citrus Berry, and Ice Fang takes out the Mienfoo, and that is not because of the attack buff from Curse, it's because we did some attack EV training. Hawlucha goes for Hone Claws because of the defense buff and our higher health, so we can take it out with a single Ice Fang. Again, it's stab and super effective, so the +1 from Curse didn't matter. Machoke goes for Leer, and this is why we went for Curse, is to kind of manipulate the AI. We've got it in a heal lock now. Karina's going to go for her Hyper Potions as we keep taking it back into low red health. A critical hit would be so nice, but of course we don't get it. Another Leer. Karina throws the battle. We take out the Machoke, and this battle went a lot better. I really do think Megas are super cool. Are you guys as excited as I am for Legends ZA? This guy on Route 12 gives you a gift Lapras after defeating Karina. You can talk to this person and he does not give you the gift Lapras before defeating Karina, which we nicknamed Dome. It has a docile neutral nature. If you guys know anything about Lapras, this Pokemon is amazing. Water Absorb is a great ability, and this Pokemon is probably going to be a staple on the team. In Coremain City, we can get our hands on the Good Rod, and this will net for us another encounter. Backtracking to Route 8, we can do a little bit of fishing and fish up our next encounter, which is a Shelder that we surprisingly catch in a netball. That's pretty neat. We nickname it Blocky. It has a Brave plus attack and minus speed nature, but more importantly, the Skill Link ability, which is amazing. Once Blocky reached level 32, it learns Razor Shell. Then we can use a Water Stone. This time I got it on Route 12. You just have to surf to get to it. And we can evolve this thing into a viable encounter, a very bulky Cloyster. Just before taking on Ramos, we have another rival battle with Serena. I'm going to show you guys how great our newest additions are to the team. Unfortunately, a light screen from Meowstic prevents us from doing massive damage with Surf, so we're going to swap into Blocky. I'm really tripping on my words here as we tank a Disarming Voice. Our special defense is very minimal, so we need to be careful, but we can take out the Meowstic with a Skill Link, Icicle Spear from there. Our Absol is going to come out. Surprisingly, Blocky is speedy despite that minus speed nature, and we outspeed to one-shot it with a 5-turn guaranteed Icicle Spear. Very nice. Braixen doesn't really have much now that I have 2 water types, as it Razor Shell one-shots, and that was Serena defeated very easily. Having 3 of 4 Pokemon Weak to the grass type gym leader is very scary, but a priority ice shard takes out the jump pluff, and from here Blocky is just going to assert sheer dominance. An icicle spear easily two-shots the Weeping Bell, and as the Go-Goat comes out, we do outspeed this Pokemon, and this time we need 3 turns of the 5 guaranteed to knock it out. That was a very easy 4th gym badge. I don't know why I do this, but I just leave this plate laying around, and I really shouldn't do that. How am I going to get dinner if I just leave my plate in the middle of a powerhouse? Makes sense, though. Just before taking on Clement and his electric types, we have a very nice evolution on the team, with Wedge evolving into an Avalugg. This might seem a little strange what we're doing here, leading Dome against Clement and his electric types, but we're fairly bulky, and Emolga has a piss-poor attack, as Volt Switch is physical. This means when it switches into the Magneton, we read that, and we can take this Pokemon out before it sets up the electric terrain with a few surfs after a Hyper Potion. This is going to bring in the Heliolisk. I do have to risk a crit here, which we don't get the crit. Perfect. And a Bulldoze lowers this thing's speed enough to where we can take it out with a second. This just leaves the Emolga. We're not going to leave Dome in. Dome has done a great job. We're going to swap into Pinnacled. Pinnacled has stab, super effective rock-type moves for this part flying-type Pokemon, but we have to tank a couple of Volt Switches. We were never dead to 2 Volt Switches unless both of them crit, and we one-shot the Emolga. Running headfirst onto Route 14, I did know about the Serena battle, but I wasn't quite prepared. I didn't realize that the cutscene started as soon as you got onto the route, so I've got to steer a little bit here. We tank a Fake Out, and I need to swap, but into who? Ultimately decide to bring in Wedge, who comes in on a light screen, which I thought was what was going to happen. We can then go for a bite, but I misclick onto Bulldoze as we tank a nasty Psychic. From here, we can still survive a non-critical hit, so I decide to set up the Hail as it goes for a Disarming Voice. I cannot stay in at this point as I am dead to a Psychic, so I need to swap out, and we're just going to bring Blocky in. Blocky has been a phenomenal Pokemon since we got it. Ooh, it went for Disarming Voice and not Psychic, so we can tank that very, very nicely. This was a very nervous start to the battle, as we could have very easily lost a Pokemon here. Meowstic goes down to an Icicle Spear. Just like before, Absol is going to come out, hit us with a quick attack, which is perfectly fine, and then go down to a 4-turn Icicle Spear, 3-turn rather, and then Delphox comes out. We're dead to a Psybeam, we're dead to a Mystical Fire even, so we need to swap and we bring in Dome. We can tank the Psybeams with this Pokemon very nicely. It has a pretty decent special defense, and we can take out the Delphox with a Surf. And Pinnacle gets a nice evolution, going from Amora to an Aurorus. Hasn't seen a lot of screen time, but trust me, this Pokemon will come into its own. Now, I don't have any super effective moves into Valerie's Fairy-type team. The Mawile is part Steel-type, but it doesn't have any Steel-type moves other than Iron Defense. So we can tank the Crunches nice, and then go for Bulldoze, which is super effective, burning both of Valerie's Hyper Potions here on her first Pokemon. Ultimately taking out the Mawile with a couple of Bulldozes after the 2 Hyper Potions. Mr. Mime comes out next. This Pokemon is annoying. It likes to set up screens. I was hoping it would go for Light Screen turn 1, but it goes for Reflect, so Bite doesn't do that much, and then I decide to bring in Pinnacled. Pinnacled comes in on a Light Screen, which is fine. We get a free swap in, but I wasn't really hoping to see the Light Screen. We can fish for Omni Boost, which we get the first Ancient Power we fire off, and we tank the Psychic much nicer. We'll just keep fishing for the Omni Boost as we slowly whittle this thing away after a couple of Ancient Powers. This just leaves the Sylveon. Reflect does go down as it comes out. We can fire off another Ancient Power, and we get a second Omni Boost. That is crazy. Dazzling Gleam does a little bit, and Light Screen wears off, so we go for Aurora Beam. It doesn't quite take out the Sylveon, but we were never dead there, so we take it out with another Aurora Beam, defeating Valerie for the 6th gym badge. We now have access to the last 2 encounters. First is a Beartic named Drydock that has a serious neutral nature that we got inside the Frost Cavern. Also has the Snow Cloak ability, which is awesome. Then on Route 17, we get a Snowbird named Tabular that has a quirky neutral nature. I'm so thankful we got this and not the Delibird, as those are the 2 likely encounters. It has the Snow Warning ability, and this is going to be great synergy for the team. With a single level gained, Snover quickly evolves into an Abomasnow, and that is our team fully evolved. Just before heading into the 6th gym, Serena of course stops us and wants another rival battle. She leads Meowstic and I lead Avalugg. Avalugg learned the move Avalanche, which does more damage if we get hurt the turn before. We were never dead to a crit there, and Meowstic wasn't dead to the Avalanche. Luckily it's hailing, so the chip from Hail takes it out. This is going to bait in the Delphox next, so I'm going to swap into Dome. We should be swapping into a Flamethrower, which we can tank nicely, or a Psychic. Whatever. A critical hit Psychic here would potentially take us out. Yes, it definitely would, but we take out the Delphox with a Surf, never punished. Our next Pokemon is going to be the Jolteon with super effective Discharge and super effective Double Kick. What's it going to go for? I don't know. Tabular is the best swap in that we can. It goes for Double Kick, which we tank very nicely. We of course are going to have to tank another move, but they'll do minimal damage and it's a quick attack before Bulldoze takes Jolteon low. The Hail Chip still doesn't take it out, but another Bulldoze does because we outspeed. Her last Pokemon is an Absol. It's a little bit scary because it does have Swords Dance, but we'll just stay in and go for Ice Punches, which we actually outspeed, and Absol sets up a Swords Dance. That's fine. The chip from Hail ensures that we two-shot this thing with Ice Punch. This brings us to Olympia and her Psychic-type Pokemon. She leads a Sigilyph that likes to set up Reflect, so we fire off some Icicle Spears to take it out. This brings in the Slowking. I don't have a good move against it with Blocky, so we're going to immediately swap out. I should have retaught this thing Spike Cannon. Pinnacle comes in on a Yawn, which is annoying, but we can fire off one Thunderbolt before we're lulled off to sleep, as Slowking is still going for a Yawn, anticipating a swap on our part. We bring in Drydock at this point, and we get hit with a Power Gem. That's an odd choice of moves I didn't think it would go for, but a Shadow Claw one-shots from there. Her Meowstic does have Fake Out, and I figured it's going to go for that, so I swap into Wedge, because he's still holding the Rocky Helmet. Great Pokemon to hold it. Fake Out then does more damage to Meowstic because of the chip, and we should be able to survive a Psychic. Not if it crit, doesn't matter. Avalanche takes out the Meowstic, winning us the 7th Gym Badge. We now have to take on Lysandre a few different times as we go through the Team Flare storyline progression, and Dome is going to be the best counter against the Mienfoo. I figured Mienfoo was going for High Jump Kick, but it opts to go for Acrobatics. Don't understand why, but we can go for a Surf, which luckily for us we outspeed and it one-shots. We're probably going to have to stay pretty high leveled with Dome. We soak up the Intimidate from the Gyarados, and with the help of my plate, we can one-shot the Gyarados with a quad super effective Thunderbolt. The Zap plate for those of you that didn't get that. Pyroar comes out, outspeeds, and hits us with a Fire Blast that doesn't really matter as a Surf one-shots it. His last Pokemon is a Murkrow, so we just swap up our moves for Ice Beam and we one-shot it. That was the easy battle. The second battle with Lysandre, his team is evolved, and Mienshao is a little more scary. I go for Protect, and this time he cooperates, going for High Jump Kick, hurting itself, which is perfect. We still outspeed, and we can knock it out from there with a Surf. That's how the first battle should have went. Gyarados comes out, we soak up the Intimidate, a Me Plate boosted quad super effective Thunderbolt takes it out. Pyroar comes out next, it does outspeed to hit us with a Fire Blast. A Burn would have sucked there, but we would have still survived. One shot with Surf. Honchkrow is his last Pokemon. Stab super effective Ice Beam one-shots it. And now we're on to the final Lysandre battle. But first I gotta see this cutscene with Yveltal, I think is how you pronounce that. I'm not 100% sure. I've never seen this cutscene before, so I wanted to share that with you guys. I think it's neat that this Pokemon is in the shape of a Y instead of the I, like Xerneas has the X in its eye. It's pretty neat, and that was a pretty cool little cutscene. And now we're just going to battle this thing and of course throw a Master Ball at it to catch it and move on. The Lysandre 3 battle goes completely awry. I lead Dome against the Mienshao, go for Protect, and it's going for Acrobatics. I don't know why. I need to pivot here, so I swap into Wedge, who can survive a High Jump Kick from this thing, but again it goes for Acrobatics. I can still survive a non-critical hit High Jump Kick here, so I go for Avalanche, but it goes for Swords Dance. We get a critical hit, which did matter, taking out the Mienshao. Out next is Pyroar. We cannot stay in as this thing has nasty Fire Blast, so we're going to pivot back into Dome, who can survive 2 Fire Blasts provided we avoid a crit, or just avoid the move altogether. That's perfectly fine as well. No burn, that's great. Stab super effective Surf takes it out. The Pokemon are coming out in team order, so out next is the Honchkrow, which is perfect. We can one-shot this thing with a Stab super effective Ice Beam. Now, I do have the Expert Belt on this Pokemon, but even with that, Gyarados is not going to be a one-shot once it Mega Evolves from Thunderbolt, so I need to do something a little bit different, and I swap in Wedge. Gyarados has super effective Iron Head, which is nasty and can do a lot of damage. It decides to go for Outrage, so we're doing some decent chip back to it with Rocky Helmet. We learn Recover on Wedge, so we could technically just stall this battle out, letting the Gyarados take itself out. Eventually it's going to get confused from Outrage. It gets a 3-turn Outrage, which is pretty good, and we've done some massive damage, and we're at full health. I opt to go for Avalanche here, thinking whatever move it uses against me, Avalanche will double in power or get more powerful, but we leave it on a sliver. That kind of sucks, but again, it doesn't matter. Rocky Helmet Chip is going to KO the Gyarados from here, and that's perfectly fine. We would have survived even a critical hit. Lysandre 3, defeated. We're challenged by Sexymore and his 3 fully evolved Kanto starters. For the Venusaur, I lead Pinnacled and Frost Breath. With the held wide lens, that's a 99% accurate move that always crits. As the Blastoise comes out, I don't want to stay in because I know it's going to go for Water Pulse, so I swap into Dome for that water immunity, which works out perfect. From there, we can fire off a Thunderbolt. I don't think we one-shot. We do not, and it goes for Skull Bash. Perfect. Now we can pivot back into Pinnacled. I thought about taking this Pokemon out, but Pinnacled is what I want out on the field. We can tank the Skull Bash no problem because of our rock typing, and then fire off a Thunderbolt to take out the Blastoise. And this puts us in perfect position as the Charizard comes out. We have the quad super effective Stab Ancient Power to one-shot. Crossing the bridge on Route 19, we have the Rival Gauntlet. Now we lead Tabular for Shauna here. The reason is not because of Shauna's Pokemon, it's not for Tierno's Pokemon, it's for Trevor's Raichu that I want Tabular up front. We one-shot with a Blizzard. Goodra comes out next and has Sludge Wave, so I'm going to pivot into Drydock, who can tank the Sludge Wave or avoid it altogether because of our Snow Cloak, and then we can fire off an Icicle Crash that one-shots. Very nice. You haven't seen a lot from this Pokemon, but the synergy between Tabular and Drydock is amazing. Greninja comes out and tries to go for double team shenanigans, but a power-up punch connects nonetheless, and with the help of the chip from Hail, we ensure a 2-shot. Goes for double team again, but we don't care about evasiveness here on this team. Tierno is up next, and he leads a Talonflame. I still got Tabular up front. Talonflame doesn't have any fire-type moves, but it does have Stab super effective Acrobatics, so we pivot into Wedge, who gets hit with an Acrobatics, doing very minimal damage. Between the Hail and Rocky Helmet damage, we're doing a lot more to it. We tank another Acrobatics, but with the chip and Avalanche, we take out the Talonflame. This should bring out the Roserade next, which it does, and the only move that it has is Petal Blizzard, so we need to pivot into Drydock, who can survive even a critical hit from this move. We tank a Petal Blizzard, like I said, very nicely, and then we can fire off an Icicle Crash that is going to one-shot. That was a little risky as that move could have missed, but we come out in the end. His Crawdaunt is last, so we're going to pivot into Dome for that water-type immunity, as I believe this thing is going to go for a Crab Hammer, which it does, and we have super effective Thunderbolt. With the help of the Zap Plate, we can one-shot. Trevor's team in this gauntlet was the one I was worried the most about. Raichu has some pretty good moves. Our team is not very bulky on the special side, so I led with Tabular, and we do a lot of damage with Bulldoze. Not expecting Raichu to go for any electric type moves, I pivot into Dome, and unfortunately, it goes for Nuzzle. Doesn't do much damage to us, but it always paralyzes, so the Raichu goes down to the Hail, but we are paralyzed. I wanted Dome out here for the Aerodactyl, that is the scariest Pokemon on his team. Florges comes out next. I thought about switching for just a second, but then I decided to go for an Ice Beam, but Floor just outspeeds and goes for Confide, so our Ice Beam connects and doesn't do much, but it gets the freeze. That might be the most critical thing that happened in this battle, because now we can swap into another Pokemon, more specifically Pinnacled. Pinnacled still has Thunderbolt. This puts us in pretty good position as the Aerodactyl is going to come out. Frost Breath does not KO from there, but Floor just stays frozen the entire time as we take it out, never taking a tick of damage. His Aerodactyl is fast, has Rock-type moves. We take neutral damage. It goes for Supersonic and misses, so we one-shot with Thunderbolt. The last gym leader is Wolfric, our Ice-type nemesis with his Ice-type team, and I lead Drydock against the Abomasnow. A power-up punch does decent damage, and I was hoping for a miss here on Energy Ball with our Snow Cloak, but we get hit. Doesn't matter, we take out the Abomasnow with a +1 Brick Break. Cryogonal comes out next, and this thing is very frail. Whiffs a Confuse Ray, so we take it out with another power-up punch. As the Avalugg comes out, we're at +2 attack, and we're just going to fish for more attack raises with power-up punch. The first one got a crit, which is really nice. I know that it's not going to do that much damage, so after the heal from Ice Body, we take this thing pretty low with another power-up punch. We're at +4, it's at +2 defense. A Brick Break should take this thing out from here, and it does. Nothing left to do but head on to the Elite Four. Well, before the Elite Four, we got to do one more Serena battle, but this should go really easy. The fake out from Meowstic doesn't matter. Rocky Helmet Chip is great. From there, we can tank a Psychic that would not have KO'd if it had crit, and we can one-shot with Avalanche. This is going to bait in the Delphox, and Delphox should be going for a Flamethrower, so we're going to swap into Dome, and Delphox does in fact go for a Flamethrower. Thank you. Now we can tank a Psychic, even if it had crit, and one-shot with a Stab Super Effective Surf. That is how the AI is supposed to work. Jolteon's baited in next because of Discharge, and Double Kick, it should go for Discharge, which it finally does. I just hit my mic against the Tabular. Very, very nice. From here, we can tank another Discharge, and this time go for Earthquake that is going to one-shot. With the Snow Warning Hail setup, as the Altaria comes out, we can fire off 100% accurate Blizzards, one-shotting it. Our special attack is a little bit better, as our attack IV on Tabular is 1. So I've leaned into the special side of things with things like Blizzard and Shadow Ball, one-shotting the Absol after a Swords Dance. And here is the team ready to take on the Elite Four. Blocky the Cloyster with Icicle Spear, Spikes, Spike Cannon, and Razor Shell. Tabular the Abomasnow with Shadow Ball, Blizzard, Earthquake, and Energy Ball. Dome the Lapras with Surf, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. Wedge the Avalugg with Avalanche, Crunch, Recover, and Earthquake. Drydock the Beartick with Power-Up Punch, Aqua Jet, Rock Slide, and Icicle Crash. And last but certainly not least is Pinnacled the Aurorus with Frost Breath, Hyper Beam, Dark Pulse, and Ancient Power. Wickstrom is going to be the hardest for us to defeat, so I take on his Steel types first. I lead Dome against the Klefki. We hit it with a Surf, which means it's going for a Dazzling Gleam, I guess, instead of a Flash Cannon. I thought for sure it would, and then it goes for that Prankster Torment, so it never sets up spikes, which is awesome. We take it out with another Surf, and Aegislash comes out. This thing likes to go for King Shield, so I'm going to swap into Wedge, but it doesn't. It decides to go for Sacred Sword, which does a lot of damage, but does some chip back with Rocky Helmet. I opt to go for Recover, as this thing should be going for King Shield, and it does, perfectly played out by the AI. From here, we can then swap up to Crunch, as it's going to go for an Iron Head. This is why this guy is so scary with these Stab Steel moves. They are super effective as well, but we take the Aegislash out with a Crunch. Scizor comes in. We can go for Recover. We do risk a crit here, but it doesn't matter. The flinch matters. Damn it. Now I have to pivot into something and I don't know what to do, so I bring Blocky in on a Bullet Punch. We tank it very nicely. An Icicle Spear is actually going to KO the Scizor because of the Rocky Helmet chip. So the risk of the crit was great. Iron Head, again, wouldn't have taken us out if it had crit, and Icicle Spear takes out the Scizor. His last Pokemon is a Probopass, and this thing is very scary. I'm going to bring in Tabular. This may seem a little bit odd, but we set up the Hail and can break Sturdy. This is very risky because we could easily be taken out here from a crit. Power Gem does not crit, so we survive. Now we can bring in Dome, which is much more bulky on the special side, tank a flash cannon very nicely, doing very minimal damage, and can one-shot with a stab super effective surf from there. On paper, Malva is the next difficult Elite Four member, but we have Pinnacled. Her Pyroar does outspeed, but doesn't go for Noble Roar, just opting to go for Flamethrower, so we one-shot it with an Ancient Power. My plan here was to have Dark Pulse for the Chandelure in the back, using up all of our Ancient Power points as we get through the other 3 Pokemon because of Noble Roar. But now, because we didn't get Noble Roared, we can one-shot the Torkoal. We do get outsped and hit with a Flare Blitz, risking a crit here, but we survive on 83 HP and one-shot the Talonflame. We still have a couple of power points left in Ancient Power, so the backtrack for the Dark Pulse TM was in vain, but it doesn't matter. We walk through Malva's team with Pinnacled. We don't have the best matchup against Seabold, and he's got a couple of Pokemon that can do some serious damage. We lead Dome and fire off a Thunderbolt that doesn't one-shot the Clawitzer. A high roll critical hit would take us out, but only just. We got this thing in a heal lock from here though, taking it to low red health with Thunderbolt, burning both of Seabold's full restores, which is awesome. We can then take out the Clawitzer with another Thunderbolt, and this is going to bring in the Barbaracle that has Stone Edge, which is super effective, and Cross Chop. So what we need to do here, of course, is swap into the bulkiest Pokemon we have, Wedge. And we also have the Rocky Helmet. Now, Stone Edge does not count as a contact move, so we've just got to stall this thing out of the 5 power points, which we can do with Recover. It also misses a couple of times, which is great because it is a low accuracy move, but as long as we're just hitting recovers, even critical hits, we fully heal up from. That's pretty awesome. At this point, it's out of Stone Edge power points, so it goes for Cross Chop. We needed that little bit of chip from the Rocky Helmet to knock this thing out with an Earthquake. That was very well played, in my opinion. Gyarados is baited in next. This thing does like to go for Dragon Dance, so we're going to swap into Dome. This is a little bit risky, but Seabold goes for a Dragon Dance. Perfectly fine. We are outsped at this point, but he just goes for another Dragon Dance? A Dragon Dance? Whatever. Thunderbolt, one-shots from there. I'm not editing it out. I'm sorry. We've done this too many times. Starmie is the last Pokemon, and I'm going to bring in Tabular. I did not expect this Pokemon to go for a Light Screen as we swap in, but it does. That is a bit annoying as we are more of a special attacker. We do tank the Psychic very nicely. 2 crits would have taken us out. Energy Ball still does massive damage. Again, we don't get crit here with Psychic, so we're at 50 HP as we take out the Starmie, winning us the 3rd Elite Four battle. Drasna is going to be the easiest for my team to deal with. We lead Tabular against the Dragalge. We set up the Hail with Snow Warning. 100% accurate Blizzard one-shots from there. This should bait in the Noivern with Flamethrower that is quad super effective against us, so it's going to be a very easy pivot into Pinnacled, and as I said before, you didn't see a lot of Pinnacled, but it comes into its own in the late game. We tank the Flamethrower very nicely, and from here we can fire off, well, we get outsped, never mind. We have to tank the Dragon Pulse, then a Frost Breath knocks out the Noivern from there. We should outspeed the last 2 Pokemon from here, critical hit Frost Breath with the help of a Wide Lens Connect, and one-shot the Druddigon. Her last Pokemon, of course, is an Altaria, and this Pokemon can't do anything. Good night, and goodbye, Elite Four. Now, last up is Diantha, and we've done the Elite Four completely deathless, and I have a plan here to do Diantha deathless, but it does require some risk. But no risk, no reward. Hawlucha opts to go for a Flying Press, which is a little bit annoying. Doesn't matter, an Avalanche takes it out. We did not need to be attacked for that move to one-shot. Tyrantrum comes out, and this is where we have to be a little bit risky. Super effective Head Smash does not get the critical hit, and we survive on 37 HP. After the recoil and chip from Rocky Helmet, Earthquake takes out the big bad Tyrantrum. Wedge, what a Pokemon. Now Goodra comes out with Focus Blast, so I'm going to swap into Dome, who can tank 2, or avoid 1 because of the low accuracy, and go for Ice Beam. It doesn't one-shot. Focus Blast misses, so Dome never took a tick of damage. That was another risk there because a critical hit would have taken us out, but it's a very inaccurate move. Aurorus comes out next, so we are going to swap into Drydock, a Pokemon we haven't seen a lot of either. And I had plans, I really wanted to use Abomasnow in Mega versus Mega, but Drydock is going to close out the rest of the battle with a Brick Break on Aurorus. The Gourgeist is going to go down to an Icicle Crash. I did want to use a Power-Up Punch against the Aurorus. I misclicked on the Brick Break, but it doesn't matter. Drydock's pure power is going to take out the rest of her Pokemon. Even the Gardevoir that Mega Evolves, we tank the Mood Blast and one-shot with a Shadow Claw. Deathless run. Whew. That last battle was very, very risky and very, very stressful, and it took a couple of hours to come up with that plan. We risked some crits there, and if we would have lost Wedge to the Tyrantrum, it would have been perfectly fine, as I had Pokemon that could have come in and taken it out. Again, the same thing with Goodra. We could have potentially lost a couple of Pokemon, but I don't think we would have ever lost the battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, you know the routine. Leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing. All the things. Do all the things. Let's get this channel to be the best Nuzlocke channel on, well, YouTube, right? No, thank you guys. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, it means so much each and every week to see all the comments and everything that's going on. Of course, if you want to get these videos a little bit early, think about becoming a channel member today. It is not required, but it is greatly appreciated. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.